Hi, the AIXPortal IT community welcomes you. With this video, we begin a series of lessons on AIX under the general title AIXology. In the first part, we will tell you about the history of the UNIX operating system and about the AIX System Administration tools. I'm Dmitry Mironov. I work with power systems and AIX for over than 20 years. I've been a system administrator, consultant, integrator, technical support engineer. I'm engaged in system administration. I participate in the IT community and I'm proud to be an IBM champion. I love to share my knowledge, so I will gladly tell you about this exciting operating system. Short disclaimer. Everything that I tell you is my personal experience and my opinion only. I don't guarantee the truth of any statements. You may check it yourself on your free will. Let's start with the history lesson. The UNIX operating system appeared in the late 60s. There was a Multics project, but it was suspended and the engineers involved began to develop its own operating system. They called it UNIX as opposed to Multics. There's Ken Thompson, Brian Kernighan, Dennis Ritchie. Yes, these same people invented the C programming language. C was written specifically for Unix, and Unix was rewritten in C. Quite quickly, by the standards of those years, Unix began its journey across server platforms, and once reached the IBM. There they started developing their Unix thread and called it AIX, Advanced Interactive Executive. The first public version was announced in 1986. Even the exact date is known, January 21st. Yo-ho-ho! A good reason to celebrate! There were versions for mainframes, for microchannel PS2, for Itanium. Now this operating system is officially available only on the Power Systems platform. I will not go deep into history. For example, Logical Volume Manager appeared in 1990, when probably no other Unix had it. I'll just focus on AIX version 5. AIX 5L, the letter L appeared in its name. L stands for Linux. IBM has declared compatibility with Linux programs. Of course, at the source code level, not executable files, since the set of processor instructions for x86 and Power is different. The prot file system was introduced in this version of AIX. AIX does not need it. It has its own tools. This is for Linux compatibility only. And together with the OS, IBM began to supply a set of programs familiar to the Linux community. This set is called AIX Toolbox for Linux applications. There are hundreds of precompiled, ready-to-install programs. The source codes are also there for the most of programs. And GNU-C is available to compile it. By the way, you can learn more about all versions and additions to the AIX in the document AIX from Strange to Strange, published on the IBM website. The current AIX version is 7. More precisely, 7.1 and 7.2 releases. Since millennium, everyone has become familiar to the fact that a new version of the operating system appears along with the new processor. Power 5, AIX 5, Power 6, AIX 6, Power 7, AIX 7. And when Power 8 was released, many were expecting AIX version 8, but it didn't. Instead, AIX 7.1 has been released. 7.2, sorry. Now, in September 2020, Power 9 based servers are available, but still AIX release is 7.2. Why is that? Has IBM stopped developing its operating system? No. The fact is that the process of formal certification of third-party software for new OS version is complicated. With the release, everything is easier. This is the answer to the question why there is still no AIX version 9. Will there be a new version when the Power 10 servers are released? We will find you soon, I hope in the next year. In addition to the version and release, there is TL, technical level. Now, TLs are released once a year. Technical level includes new functionality and support for new hardware. Service packs are released in between, SP service pack. This includes bug fixes. Now support for new platform, it seems to have included not even in the technical level but in the service pack. I don't remember exactly. You may check it yourself on the IBM Fix Central. I will tell you about the life cycle of TLSP PTFs fixes in one of the next AIXology lessons. Why do I like AIX so much? I have heard this question many times. I began to work with this system for over than 20 years ago. Both then and now I believe that this is indeed in a good way it's a real corporate server operating system. Reliability, minimum bugs. Of course they are, but in general it's a quite stable system. Security. The number of vulnerabilities is minimal. They're eliminated painlessly and fast, as a rule, as usual. AIX is able to be certified to any industry standard, of course with the correct setup. The features available really produce respect even among experienced auditors. Open standards and supported hardware, a lot of. As far as I know, everything or practically everything is here. Of course, a lot of the benefits come from the hardware platform. Scalability, performance, virtualization. Yes, AIX works in conjunction with power systems. In my opinion, it's an excellent combination. Enough history. Moving on to the second part of our tutorial, AIX System Administration Tools. Classic first. What does the UNIX sysadmin toolbox look like? These are tens and hundreds of commands. Each command has a lot of keys, and their syntax is no way to connect with each other. It's almost impossible to predict what for what. There are dozens of text, hundreds of text configuration files, each with its own format to remember. There may be some menu systems, but they are not very user-friendly and have limited functionality. Not easy! Of course, I'm talking about only what is in the base of the operating system itself. I don't consider any third-party programs and automation tools. What about AIX? At the lowest level, everything is as usual. Hardware. Okay, you can correct me that it's often not hardware, but a hypervisor. Yes. The kernel works with it through system calls. Further, there are text configuration files and low-level commands for configuring the OS. But we see two more components that are not exist in classic Unix. These are ODM, Object Data Manager, and SRC, System Resource Controller. ODM is a database that contains information about all installed and all supported devices, their drivers, attributes, installed operating system components, and much more. Something like the registry from one of well-known OS, isn't it? I've heard many times, boo, it's not Unix. It should be not doing this way. No, it's wrong. Okay, I don't mind. In one book, I have even seen a joking AIX transcript that AIX stands for Ain't Unix. I will not argue. This is your opinion. But I am comfortable to work with ODM. This is a genius thing. Many AIX administrators consider it as one of the key AIX benefits. In one of the next lessons I will definitely tell you about it. Check our AIXology on YouTube. SRC, Subsystem Control Tool, System Resource Controller, such as NFS, DNS, syslog, SSH, and so on. Okay, this is not a surprise for anybody now, but this has been invented for years ago in AIX, decades ago. So, you can work with this directly through the low-level commands, or you can use high-level commands. They have a more user-friendly interface and allow you to do at one time what requires several low-level commands and editing several configuration files. There is only formal categorization, low and high-level commands. Of course, you don't have to memorize it, and in most cases, high-level commands are sufficient to complete tasks. And often these commands are shell scripts. For example, look at the content of the file usr sbin mklv. This is a command for creating a disk logical partition. See what actually starts up. You'll see a lot of low-level commands inside. Yes, some of the tasks usually associated with deep tuning or troubleshooting can only be done through low-level commands or even directly through the ODM. But I repeat, in most cases, high-level commands are enough. And above there is an add-on called SMIT. It's a menu system that can do perhaps 80% of your daily tasks, maybe more. I won't say for sure, I didn't count exactly. 87, 79, most of them. Here we'll look at it today. A little bit more about high-level commands. Their names are usually constructed according to the following rule: action plus object. For example, see the list of paths to the multipassing disk. ls path, create user, mk user, increase file system size, chfs. Is it simple? Okay. Using this rule, answer the question: what command will you use to create the file system? 1, 2, 3. Hey, who said SMIT? No, it will be later. mkfs, you say? Wrong. crfs. Life is always brighter than any boring theory. Don't expect 100% match. But I explained to you the general principle. However, back to the SMIT, System Management Instruments Tool. It's a menu system, available in text, pseudo-graphics mode and graphics mode. Performs the most of required system administration tasks. Its interface is expandable. You can learn with it. And we must remember that SMIT itself does nothing. It's only an envelope, a tool to launch the real commands. Any action performed through SMIT can be performed through the command line interface. SMIT is a program that runs in the context of the user who started it. Any AIX user has SMIT execution rights, unless you specifically restrict them. He or she will be able to navigate the menu. You may even try to run a command. Some commands may even be executed. But most commands will fail with the permission denied error. All the same, SMIT is focused on the root, on the system administrator. This is what the interface looks like. SMIT main menu. Up and down arrows. Enter to go to the menu item. It's quite easy to figure out where to find the needed task. For example, create a new group. Security and users. Update the software. Software installation and maintenance. Create a file system. Storage. And so on. If you have the X Windows system graphical environment, the SMIT interface looks like this. Cursor, mouse. The content of the menu is absolutely identical to the text version. But from my practical experience, if you have a graphical environment, it's much more convenient to use the text version. Why? Because arrows buttons and enter work faster than the mouse. But you can try it yourself and write me in the comments. Hi Dmitry, the graphical interface is much better. I'll accept your opinion. How to start SMIT? Type SMIT in the command line. Of course, in small letters. The graphical version of the interface will start in the graphical environment. The text one will start in the text environment. To force the text version to run, type SMIT from the words SMIT TTY. 2T, SMIT T. I know people who have been using AIX for a very long time, and out of a habit they always use SMIT, even if they work in a text shell. Really, in this mode, SMIT and SMIT are the same thing. SMIT is a serious program. Like any serious program, it has many keys. Read the manual. I'll only talk about one feature. SMIT something. The correct name for something is fast path. With the help of fast path, you can directly get to the desired menu item. Each SMIT dialog has its own fast path. They are often the same as corresponding command names. For example, SMIT ch user to change user attributes. SMIT crfs, yes, crfs, not mkfs, to create a file system. You can find references to them in the AIX documentation. You don't have to memorize them. This knowledge comes with experience. Navigating SMIT. We go through the menu with the arrows up and down. Go to menu item, the enter button. How to go back through the menu tree? F3 button. Often in dialogues it offers you to choose something from the list. There are F4 and F7 buttons for this. We'll have a look at them later. F10 button to exit SMIT. At the bottom of any SMIT screen, a list of currently available keys is always shown. We went through the menu. We got to the dialog. You can see that the list of buttons at the bottom has changed. New keys are available. Look more precisely. F1, F2, F3, F4. Then something strange. Escape. Do you know the term variable that defines the type of your terminal for working with pseudo-graphics in Unix? Obviously, here the user has a terminal type defined in which there are only 4 function keys. And SMIT offers you a replacement. Instead of F5, escape 5, and so on. How to use them? It's necessary to quickly, sequentially press escape and the corresponding key. Escape 7. Not simultaneously, but fast. Instead of F10, press escape 0. Or you can correct the term variable and to configure the correct terminal type. What else? Some fields are already filled in with default values. On the left side of some fields we see an asterisk. This is the classical indication that this field is required. Of course, when creating a file system you have to specify its size and mount point. On the right side you can often see the magic plus sign. It indicates that a list of possible values is available. It's very helpful. To go to it, press F4. Some fields can be filled in by yourself. Some can be selected from the list only. For example, Mount Options allows manual entry and selecting from the list, but Unit Size only allows for selection of predefined values. The F4 button will open the selector. Here is it. This is a choice of what we want to put into the dialog. The selector can be single choice and multi-choice. If single choice, then select the value with the Enter button and automatically return to the dialog, to the previous window. If multi-choice, then select the values with the F7 button and apply everything with the Enter button. You can also deselect one value by pressing F7. To cancel everything and go back, press F3. Finally, we filled in all the fields in the dialog. Yes, you see that this is a different dialog. It's because I'm not showing you a specific command, but the principle of working with SMIT. With the F6 command, we can see which command SMIT has constructed for us, with all the necessary parameters. If we change our choice in the dialog, then the set of keys and parameters may change, but the command itself will not change. For example, here the mklv command will never change to chlv or anything else. Never. The SMIT architecture allows you to bind only one command to the dialog. Add maybe a large shell script as a command, but it will always be the same. So, we looked at the command. We can run it ourselves in the command line. We can study it and maybe find some extra features. Do you remember I've explained already, SMIT allows you to do the most of, but not everything. Or we can trust SMIT. Press Enter and the command runs. In the next window, you see the status of the command execution. The status will be running, then OK or failed. The status are command exit codes. Exit code 0 is OK, non-zero is failed. So take a look at what the command actually displayed. Once again about user rights. If you are a regular user and you are granted sudo root permissions for everything, even without a password, the command will still end with a message that you don't have enough permissions. Because in previous example, SMIT explicitly runs the command, not sudo command. You have to go to the system administrator context first, go to the shell and only then start SMIT. Okay, you can scroll and search through the output. The F6 button will show you which command was executed. To return to the previous dialog, use F3 button or F10 to exit SMIT. We quit from SMIT and realized that we hadn't checked the command execution details. What to do? There are log files for this. SMIT log stores a history of menu navigation with timestamps, executed commands, and output. SMIT script contains only executed commands and timestamps. The files are located in the home directory of the user who started SMIT. Do remember that SMIT can be launched by any user. Files grow, are not rotated, but in my experience there has never been a problem with the space because of them. What's under the hood? ODM. When you start SMIT, it asks ODM which menu to show. You go into dialog. Hey ODM, what fields can you fill in? What values should be substituted in them? You want to run a command. Hey ODM, the user has filled in everything. What should I do? And ODM gives all needed information. Due to the ODM, you can customize the SMIT interface. Take a look at the example on the right. The same menu, but the composition is different. The second server has PowerHA software installed. An additional menu item has been added to SMIT. You can add your own menu items, dialogues, commands. It's not prohibited. It's described in the documentation. There is a red paper. Knowledge of how ODM works is required. I plan to tell you about this in some of next AIXology lessons. Are there any other tools besides SMIT? At least there were, like WebSM, VSM. There's graphical interfaces with pretty buttons, withers. Are they supported now? I don't know. I don't care. It seems no. In my experience, they weren't being popular. SMIT wins. I've been working with SMIT for many years. I feel myself as experienced AIX administrator. Know the command line at least a little bit. But I'm not shy about using SMIT. If I don't remember the command or don't want to remember all its keys, if I don't need to automate this action on dozens of servers, then I will use SMIT. I'll most likely use fast path. If not, I will go through the menu, quickly perform the necessary action, and free up my time for something else. For example, I will write to you another lesson about AIX. Yeah, and one more thing. You see the WebSMIT, yes, and then WebSMIT. Yeah, you see this WebSM interface in Russian there. The same with SMIT. Dozens of languages are supported. You may install the required software package with the language environment and use it. Finally, what have we learned about today besides the history of AIX? AIX is admin command construction rule: action plus object, ls path, charge, lv, and so on. There are exceptions, like reduce vg. Don't remember the command? For most common system administrator tasks, you can use the SMIT. Up and down arrows, enter to navigate, F3 go back, F4 and F7 to working with lists of values. For training, F1, F6. To find out the fast path, use F8 button. Work history can be found in files SMIT AIX.log and SMIT.script. What can you do as your homework? What can you do yourself? First, a warning. Never train on the systems that are in use. Any training is always a risk. I'm not responsible for anything. You make your own decisions. You work on your free will. System administrator rights are not required to perform these tasks. Start SMIT. Check out its menu structure. With SMIT, find answers to the questions. What users are defined in the system? What is the size of the USR file system? Hey, who said cat EC passwd? Don't cheat. We're currently studying SMIT, not commands. Try to create a user. This shouldn't work without administrator rights, but you can watch the dialog. Try changing some of the attributes. Look at the contents of the work logs. Find what commands SMIT run. The last task is not as easy as it seems. Those who use SMIT know this. Why isn't it easy? We can discuss it. Where? In our community, AIXPortal. We are the first independent Russian-speaking community of Power Systems users. Data Foundation, April 16, 2007. Participation in the community is voluntary. AIX in our name stands for AIX stands for AIX, I for IBM I, and X for everything extra. So discussion of any IT related topics is allowed. Any level of questions is welcome, from beginners to experts. I have only two rules: to be friendly and основной язык общения русский. The main language of communications is Russian. We are a Russian-speaking community, but English is welcome too. We are also members of the Common Europe, Association of European Power Systems User Groups. Go to https://comeur.org. Check if there is a local group in your country. Our main site is AIXPortal.ru. Communications, news, networking, in the Facebook group. We are on other social networks too, but mostly there are automatic reposts from the site. And of course, YouTube. Most likely it's where you are watching this video right now. I'm Dmitry Mironov, AIXPortal community. Subscribe to our channel, join the Facebook group, ask questions, comment. We are always glad to see you. Thank you for your attention. See you next time.